Hey, welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. In today's live video, I'll be covering some common misconceptions new freight dispatchers have, and I'll tell you what I've learned from my experience. So during today's video, I'm going to talk about why truckers need good freight dispatchers, the biggest challenges new freight dispatchers face, and how to build a long-term scalable freight dispatching business. And also, if you look at the link below in the description, I'm doing a 35% off discount right now for President's Day. So if you want to sign up for my freight dispatcher bootcamp, you can sign up for that bootcamp with 35% off. And when you join the bootcamp, I teach you everything I've learned over the last 8 years. So you get that information, that value in the beginning of your freight dispatching business. So you start basically as a veteran with a lot of the knowledge I have. So it's a lot of common misconceptions in freight dispatching. It's not what a lot of people think. So I want to cover that. If you're new to freight dispatching, I want to cover that in today's video. So first of all, why do truck drivers need good freight dispatchers? So what we got to understand from the very beginning is that truck drivers or owner operators wear multiple different hats within their trucking business. And dispatching is one of those hats that they wear. So what we need to first understand is that owner operator truck drivers, they are freight dispatchers. So if a owner operator is dispatching him or herself, they are actually a freight dispatcher. So any way it goes, owner operator is going to have a freight dispatcher one way or another. If they're dispatching themselves and they are their own freight dispatcher, or if they're outsourcing the work. So why I feel like owner operators need good freight dispatchers, because they're just outsourcing the work and getting work off their hands. As an owner operator, they're an owner, they own the trucking business, and they operate the equipment. That comes with a lot of responsibilities. Anyone knows that who has ever ran a business, running a business can be hard. It's so much responsibility in running a business, especially if you're a truck driver or owner operator and you're running your business from the road. So that's where good freight dispatchers come in, because when owner operators outsource the dispatching responsibilities to a freight dispatcher, now the owner operator can just concentrate more on driving and doing everything that comes with being a driver. And some of those owner tasks, such as dispatching, they will outsource that. And us as freight dispatchers, we should be able to book them better paying loads since we're working from home, or wherever we want to work from. But basically, we don't have to drive the truck. That can be a very large responsibility, driving the truck and maintaining safety. And if the owner operator is driving a flatbed or step deck truck, they have to secure loads, including strap, chain down loads, sometimes tarp loads, and dealing with that and having to dispatch the truck at the same time, that's a very large responsibility. And I believe that freight dispatching will always be around, because what we got to remember is if the owner operator is not outsourcing the work, they are their own freight dispatcher. They're having so many different responsibilities, so many different roles in their trucking business. So what I first started to do when I became a freight dispatcher, I just knew I had to be a better freight dispatcher than the owner operator was for his or her own truck, right? And that's how you're going to get owner operators to want you to dispatch them. So one common struggle that owner operators have is finding high paying loads. And with all the responsibility they have, all the tasks they have to handle within their trucking business, finding high paying loads can be a struggle. It's always high paying loads out there, no matter what. But sometimes what happens is we focus so much on the low paying loads, but we need to focus on the high paying loads. And as a freight dispatcher, as you grow your freight dispatching service, you are going to be able to book higher paying loads for your owner operators because you're going to network with more brokers and you're going to have more brokers' contact information. And the brokers that you network with, you're going to book loads through those brokers for multiple different owner operators. So as you stay in business longer as a freight dispatcher, you should be able to book higher paying loads for your owner operators because your network grows, right? So that's another thing, another struggle for owner operators is growing their network, right? You have to actually grow a trucking business, right? If the owner operator is just driving the truck and booking loads off the load board and that's it, their trucking business isn't really growing. You want to grow your contacts. And as you grow your contacts, you are going to be able to increase your revenue because you have more opportunities to book higher paying loads, which can be very difficult from the road. And to be a good freight dispatcher, what you need to do, you need to stand out. You need to stand out from the other freight dispatchers in the market. And there's always plenty of ways to stand out. What I would, if I was starting a freight dispatch business these days, what I would do is I would concentrate on always increasing the revenue of the trucking companies that I'm working with. If I can always increase the revenue of a trucking company, that's going to guarantee me retention with those particular drivers that I'm working for. If they always see their revenue increasing, they're going to want to stay with you as a freight dispatcher. So that's the main thing, because that's the main thing owner operators struggle with. And what I did when I first started, I wanted to always make sure that I was a better dispatcher than the owner operator, right? And by having more time on my hands, I always figure that we should be able to dispatch better than owner operators because they have so many tasks that comes with driving the truck, right? That's very hard to drive the truck and try to book loads too. So one thing that I do teach in my freight dispatcher boot camp, I'm always looking for ways to improve a trucking business, because when I first started dispatch business, what I realized is that so many trucking businesses fail, right? But the thing is, it's only a couple reasons that trucking companies fail. One huge reason so many trucking companies fail, and I seen this, I was a new freight dispatcher, and I seen this as a new freight dispatcher, and I don't hear this talked about even to this day. But maintenance issues cause so many trucking businesses to fail. So coming into freight dispatching, you have to see pain points like that. And basically you want to find out all the different ways that can cause a trucking business to fail. And you want to implement solutions into the trucking business before they fail, right? As a freight dispatcher, you're basically a consultant. You know, when I first came into this industry, I was new to this industry. I did not have my CDLs. I still don't have any CDLs. I had never drove a truck. But one thing I knew for sure, I could be a good business person, right? That too, as a freight dispatcher, you want to focus on being a good business person. You want to focus on being a better business person than your owner operator. Another thing that I've seen from the very beginning when I came into trucking that I noticed is that most owner operators are coming from being company drivers, right? So most owner operators have a lot of experience driving trucks, but they're coming from being company drivers, so they don't know that much about owning a business. And honestly, me, myself, I think that's the reason we have so many problems in the trucking industry. That's the exact reason so many owner operators fail, because they know the operator side, the driving side, because they have plenty of years of experience driving because they were company drivers. You're probably really not going to see too many owner operators that weren't company drivers before they became an owner. And I would think anybody could see that problem, right? We have so many company drivers, you know, they are company drivers for years, save up money, and then they get their own truck, trailer, get their own trucking authority, and they start their own trucking business. But so many owner operators have never had experience owning a business. So one thing about a trucking business from day one, and these are the type of things I teach in my freight dispatcher boot camp. From day one, I believe all new trucking authorities need to put back at least 5% of all revenue towards a maintenance account, right? Because the reason why so many trucking businesses fail due to maintenance issues is because the truck is getting more wear and tear on the truck over the years. The truck is racking up on miles over the years. So what that causes is more, as the truck gets older and more miles on the truck, it causes more frequent maintenance issues. And then with those more frequent maintenance issues, that's more money out of the owner operator's pocket that they're spending on maintenance. And then it also causes more costly maintenance issues, right? So as time goes on, any owner operator, this is every single owner operator in the trucking industry. As time goes on, they're going to spend more money on maintenance. And let's not even include inflation. Prices are going to go up. The cost for maintenance is going up every year. The equipment parts are increasing every year, right? So if the owner operator isn't putting back money towards maintenance, that's just failure bound to happen, right? This is business. So really in business, and what I don't see in the trucking industry a lot of times too, is we got to look at what causes failure. And then we got to start talking about the things that causes failure, and then what solutions you can implement to avoid failure, right? So that's the thing I loved about when I first started my freight dispatch business. This was my first business, but from dispatching multiple owner operators over the years, I would take this idea to any business that I ever own. Before I start the business, I would be looking to see what causes most people to fail. And then I would think about what I can implement in my business to avoid failure. And this is a good way to attract drivers as a freight dispatcher. If you are able to identify reasons that most owner operators fail, and then if you can talk about those reasons and give solutions, that's going to automatically get owner operators coming to you. That's another thing too. A lot of freight dispatchers chase owner operators around. When a lot of freight dispatchers are marketing, their marketing goes something like, "Hey, I can get you the highest paying loads for 5%. That's an offer. What you see most freight dispatchers doing is just having offers, offers for owner operators to join a freight dispatching business. But if they really could get the highest paying loads, they should be able to give value out and get the owner operators attracted to them. So any business that you own, including a freight dispatch business, if you have to beg and chase your customers, that's going to be too much work, and you're never going to be able to build up a solid customer base. And that's what 97% of freight dispatchers do. You can just do a little market research and look in the market, and you don't see any real marketing when it comes to freight dispatching. But like I said, when I started, it wasn't that long, probably about a month after I started, that I realized that a lot of trucking businesses fail due to maintenance issues, right? And those maintenance issues are just going to become more frequent over the years. So what I teach to do is teach owner operators to put up 5% of all revenue in a maintenance account, because that maintenance is going to start to add up. And if that owner operator isn't putting 5% back towards a maintenance account, at some point, a maintenance issue is going to come up. What happens with a lot of trucking companies, a maintenance issue comes up, and then they don't have the money to cover the maintenance issue, and then they're out of business. And I know for sure that will happen if a certain percentage of money isn't being put back. So that's one thing for me, that when I look at the trucking industry, I don't see any solutions like that being put in place, right? So you as a freight dispatcher, especially these days, just by saying that you're a freight dispatcher and how much you charge, that's not going to be enough. You will probably never sign up any customers, right? And this is the reason why so many freight dispatchers struggle to sign up owner operators, because they're not thinking about that you have to be, in a way, a better business person than the owner operators that you're dispatching for. That's what's going to attract them to you. The owner operators aren't coming to freight dispatchers because they need someone to drive the truck. They're basically coming to you because they need someone that's better in some areas of business than they are, right? If you're going to add value to their business, to their trucking company, wouldn't you think that you have to be better in some areas than they are? That's something that's not talked about in freight dispatching too, also. So basically, like I said, if you want to join my freight dispatcher boot camp, in that freight dispatcher boot camp, I'm going to be teaching you all types of ideas like this, right? I'm going to be teaching you what the market doesn't think about. The market isn't thinking about that you got to be a better dispatcher than the owner operator, that you have to bring solutions to the owner operator. Anytime you're selling anything, you have to have the solutions for your customers' pain points, right? Your customers just aren't going to sign up with you just because you're a freight dispatcher, but if you're able to have certain solutions, you will never stop having customers, right? And that's the reason most freight dispatchers don't have solutions, and that's why they struggle. So many people coming into freight dispatching just wanting to make some money, but they don't have the solutions or the value to offer to their customers, so they struggle. But if you can just have the solutions and like a proven system to get those solutions out to your potential customers, you will always sign up truck drivers. And that's my story. During my first month of business, I didn't have any real solutions. And I thought I was going to have to quit this business and, stay at my full-time job because I was struggling. So I do understand when my customers like you, if you're struggling to sign up drivers, I understand because I struggled too myself. But once I started thinking about, I have to be a better business person, I have to bring more value to the owner operator. I have to say things that wow owner operators, right? We want to be telling owner operators, you got to be more than just a dispatcher, right? You got to think of any value possible to give to your owner operator. That's how it's all about mindset, right? A lot of freight dispatchers aren't going to attract customers because they're only thinking about freight dispatching. If you only think about freight dispatching, I would say you probably would struggle and you won't sign up any freight dispatch, any trucks. But if you widen the horizon some and start learning, what are all the things that owner operators should be doing in their business? For example, putting up 5% towards maintenance, right? So what freight dispatchers need to do is start offering just a little bit more than booking high-paying loads. Because if you can always offer more value. We don't have to only stick to booking high-paying loads. It's so many other things that we could think about. And I believe my success came from, I just started really studying business, right? I took about a week out, and I believe that's the problem with any business, right? Any business can be successful, but it just matters how much business the business owner knows, right? That's why at all times we have some very successful trucking companies, and we have some trucking companies that's not that successful. And it doesn't even matter how the market's doing, right? What the trucking market, however the market's doing, you always have owner operators failing, and you always have owner operators being successful. Just implementing that 5% of revenue going towards a maintenance account, that will solve trucking business from failing. So some common challenges new freight dispatchers have is not knowing where to find trucks. They lack a marketing strategy. So many freight dispatchers ask where to find truck drivers. You can find truck drivers everywhere on the internet, at a truck stop, they're everywhere, but you want to attract your customers, right? Just because they're a truck driver, that doesn't mean they want to sign up with you. But if you're able to offer them value, then you're going to attract your customers. You're going to attract the truck drivers that see the value in you, and then they want to sign up for your business. So basically, to be a good freight dispatcher, you have to learn about the trucking industry, and you have to learn solutions that you can implement into trucking businesses, and you basically take in that value from multiple different places. You just continue to take in that value, let that value build up within you, and then you offer that value to owner operators, right? And you're going to attract your customers. A lot of freight dispatchers struggle with low paying loads and weak negotiation skills. That's another thing. You got to learn negotiation skills. That's very important. I actually had to take the time out to read books. Since I started my freight dispatch business, I have read so many books, right? It's not just about starting your freight dispatch business and that's it. You're right. You might have to read multiple different books throughout the month, right? And most people aren't going to do this. But basically, a lot of that information I already have. I still continue to read books all the time, right? Business books, so I can continue to bring more value to owner operators and freight dispatchers, because I have to continue to become a better business person, right? So many people that come into freight dispatch and think it's about, getting a load board, getting a freight dispatch agreement. But if you knew how many people got load board access, freight dispatch agreement, started the LLCs, got an EIN number, and never made $1 in freight dispatch. And I tell you, that's most people. That's the majority of people. The majority of people come in and do all these different things, having a logo made, which none of that stuff I just named means anything if you can't attract an owner operator, if you can't consistently sign up drivers. So first, we need to be thinking, how am I going to sign up drivers before anything else, right? And that's what I teach in the boot camp. And another reason I teach that in the boot camp, and that's the most important thing to me, because I know that's the only thing that can keep your freight dispatch, the only thing that can make your freight dispatching business fail is not being able to sign up enough truck drivers, right? If you can always consistently sign up truck drivers, you can't fail. Nothing else will make you fail, right? If you can get truck drivers signed up for your business, you'll be good to go, because truck drivers, they're the bloodline of your freight dispatch. They're the bloodline of your freight dispatching business, because they're bringing in the cash flow. So the main thing as a business owner, right? And I know a lot of the people that I train are new business owners. They haven't ever owned a business before. But as a business owner, why would you be thinking about anything else in your business before you think about how can I sign up a consistent customers? How can I always bring in customers for my business? And this is just any business. So really all businesses are pretty much the same, right? You want to always be signing up customers for your business. And besides that, what else matters? If you can get consistent customers coming into your business, it's not a problem that can't be solved. If you can always sign up truck drivers to your freight dispatching business, what can't be solved? Every other problem can be solved. But that's the one problem that if you can't solve that problem, you're going out of business, right? So that's why I talk so much about signing up truck drivers. And I realized that for myself, right? And I went through about every pain point you can go through in a freight dispatch business. And that's where you want to get to too. Just like with trucking, if you're a freight dispatcher and you're dispatching multiple different truck drivers, it shouldn't be that long before you see everything it is, until you see every pain point that a trucking business can have. And then you just start thinking of solutions for these pain points, right? So you as a freight dispatcher, I would say learn how to sign up drivers first. You don't need to move past anything. You don't need to think about anything until you know for sure how to sign up truck drivers, because that is the business. It's nothing else outside of that. So another common issue for freight dispatchers is knowing what to say. The thing is, a lot of freight dispatchers don't have any brand and messaging. Most people that come into freight dispatching, the only thing they can say is, I can find you the highest paying loads. Most people aren't going to be able to say, from the beginning of your trucking business, put back 5% towards a maintenance account. So, and then tell your owner operator the reason why. Because so many trucking businesses go out of business because they run up on a maintenance issue that they don't have the funds to cover. And I used to hate this for myself, because it happened to me a lot, right? I'll be dispatching a truck, everything would be going good. And then of course, I don't know how much money's in their bank account, right? So basically it happens so many times to where I'm dispatching the truck, I'm bringing them in high paying loads. The truck might have some maintenance issues along the way, because trucks always have maintenance issues. But then one day the truck goes down for a maintenance issue. And another problem too is, you got to think about it. If the truck goes down for a maintenance issue, the truck isn't running loads. So the cash flow stops. It's horrible, right? We have to solve that problem in trucking. The truck goes in the shop, then the owner operator, they don't have any cash flow coming into the business, because putting loads on the trailer is the bloodline of a owner operator of a trucking business, right? So if the truck is in the shop, the cash flow stops. And then if the owner operator hasn't been putting money up towards maintenance, and sometimes they don't have enough money to fix the truck. And I had it happen to me so many times where that's the last time I ever dispatched that truck, right? Because they never was able to fix the truck, right? So me as a freight dispatcher, and I don't like to see businesses fail. So that's when I start coming up with solutions, like how can we avoid this? So that's the main thing about being a freight dispatcher. You want to see, instead of being like the majority of the trucking industry that only talks about the problems with no solution, and you never even want to do that. This business 101. You never want to be a business owner that states a problem and you don't think of it, you don't state a solution after that. You can probably notice in any of my videos, if I state a problem, I got the solution. Because if I don't have the solution, I'm not even going to talk about it until I have the solution. Because what's the use of telling people about the problem with no solution? That's a weak way to use your mind, right? That's a very weak way to use your thoughts. You want to see problems and then consistently think about the solution. Seek and you shall find, right? So what I see a lot of times in the trucking industry, we're not seeking the solutions. That's the reason a lot of people don't get the solutions. But for me, anytime I see a problem with anything in life, I start thinking towards the solution, and that's what brings the solutions about. And my mind can automatically figure out solutions quickly. And that's the thing about being a business owner. It don't matter what industry you're in, what type of business that you have, you want to always seek solutions, and that's going to strengthen up your mind to be able to find them. So that's why when it comes time to a trucking business or teaching people to be freight dispatchers, I'm going to be able to come up with solutions that nobody else has. And you can do the same by always thinking towards the solution, right? Really, if you just state problems and you don't say a solution after that, it breaks down your mind to where your mind isn't strengthened to think of solutions. And then as a business owner, that's going to ruin your cash flow, because business is about solving solutions. So if you can strengthen up your own mind, your mind is a muscle. So you got to work it. You got to work it towards solutions. So if you can always think of solutions, you are going to automatically increase your cash flow, because the businesses that fail, the trucking businesses that fail, are the ones that aren't thinking towards the solution. So then what happens is they have a problem come up in their business, and because they haven't sought solutions the entire time they've been in business, a problem comes up and they don't know what to do because their mind isn't strong enough to find a solution. That's some real business talk, right? And those are the type things I like teaching. You know, I'm not teaching what's in the market, right? I don't teach general knowledge, because general knowledge won't get you anywhere. You got to be able to think deeper, right? Right. The businesses that are successful, the businesses that are making millions a year, they are thinking towards solutions. They are not just putting their mind on a problem and only talking about the problem. So another thing, we need to be able to build long-term scalable businesses, right? From the very beginning, we want to think about scaling our freight dispatching business, and we want to implement solutions to scale your freight dispatching business, right? One of them is coming up with a KPI, key performance indicator. You want to track how many brokers, how many connections you're making each week, because this is how you're going to grow your freight dispatching business, because connecting and networking with more brokers over time are going to give you more opportunities over time. And that's how you're going to be able to give higher paying loads to your owner operators. This is something a lot of owner operators might not think about. You actually have to grow the trucking business, right? If the owner operator is just driving the truck and booking loads, they're not growing the business, right? I could probably guarantee it's not that many owner operators that are probably setting a KPI for the amount of brokers they're networking with every week. And you want to network with more brokers every way you can every week. So at the end of the month, you'll have more opportunities, right? But if it's an owner operator and they're just thinking, oh, low paying loads, there's no money in trucking. But see, if they're thinking that, that means they're not thinking towards growth, right? So even if you can listen to people talk and you can tell where their mind's at, and that's what I do as a mentor, as a consultant, right? I can just listen to somebody talk and I can tell where their mind at, and I can see why their business is failing, right? And they have no clue the whole time. It's because what they're talking about is what's making their business fail, because what they're talking about is what they're thinking about. But if it's somebody talking about solutions, you can tell they're thinking towards solutions, and that's what gets you to success, right? So there's so many people in trucking that just talk about the problems and they don't realize they are the problems. They're manifesting their own failure without ever realizing it. And this is business one-on-one. Really, the trucking industry needs to be more business-like. That's the whole entire problem. And that's where you come in as a freight dispatcher, and you just be able to offer that value. See, Sam says not all about making money, but also be ready to put back money for maintenance as emergency money. That's right? You got to reinvest. You got to reinvest your money. You got to hold on to some of that money for when maintenance issues come up, because it's pretty much common sense. If a truck is racking up on more miles and more wear and tear over the year, they're going to definitely have some maintenance issues, right? It's bound to happen. So what we really want to do, and what I teach in that boot camp is I teach to come up with all the solutions. I teach you to come up with solutions that owner operators don't have for their own business, and then you be able to talk about those solutions. And that's brand messaging, right? And so many freight dispatchers aren't going to make it because they don't have any brand messaging. They don't have anything to talk about. And that's the great thing about the boot camp, is that we have people brand new to the trucking industry. We have owner operators who are also have dispatching businesses in the boot camp. We have company drivers in the boot camp. So the boot camp is a small sector of the entire market. So if you're brand new to trucking, you already got the market inside the boot camp. And then the only thing you got to do is talk and network with your fellow boot camp peers who are owner operators and company drivers themselves. And then you can start learning the pain points, and you can start formulating your solutions, and then go to market with those solutions, right? So another thing, like I said, I have owner operators in the dispatch boot camp. Owner operators too, a lot of owner operators are only making money off of one single source of income or revenue, and that's putting loads on the trailer, right? So many owner operators will complain about their revenue, but instead of complaining about revenue, you got to think towards the solution. What's the solution for low revenue? Is more revenue. What ideas can I add to my business to increase my revenue? And even on social media, I see so many owner operators sometimes talking about dispatchers, saying they don't do anything, they don't offer any value. Again, they're wasting their time, because instead of talking about that, what an owner operator should do, since they're dispatchers too, as I said earlier during this live, owner operators, most freight dispatchers in the trucking industry are owner operators, because as an owner operator, if you're dispatching yourself, you're a freight dispatcher within your own business. So if I was an owner operator, I would never, ever complain about dispatchers. The reason why, instead of complaining, I would open up my own dispatch service. I would think, I'm an owner operator, I should be able to open up a better freight dispatching service than what's out there in the market. So what I would do is I would add a freight dispatching service onto my trucking business. Even if I wasn't dispatching the other trucks, I would train somebody else and let them dispatch the trucks, right? And I would give that person I trained all the knowledge I have as being an owner operator. Now I got passive income coming into my trucking business. I can use some of that passive income for maintenance, for fuel. So now I just added more to my own revenue, right? Yep. It's all about mindset, right? And that's the reason, people in business sometimes look at businesses that failed, and then they might think they can't get into the industry, just like a freight dispatcher. You might be wanting to become a freight dispatcher, and some people ask questions. of other freight dispatchers, how their business is going and things like that. But that's another thing. I would not ever like ask somebody how their business is going and compare that to mine, because I know it's all about mindset. Whatever's in a person's mind, whatever way a person's mind is going, that's the way their business is going, right? Yeah, if it's one freight dispatcher just thinking they're going to get customers just because they're a freight dispatcher, and then it's another freight dispatcher who markets their business online. They talk about pain points of owner operators. They talk about why so many trucking businesses fail, and then they give solutions and they say, I want to implement these solutions into your trucking business so we can avoid failure, right? So those two different dispatching companies are going to be totally different. One's probably going to spend a little bit of time in freight dispatching, a month or something, and struggle to sign up owner operators and then give up, right? But the other one that's offering real value is going to attract owner operators, and they're going to be making a lot of money. That's how you're going to be making $10,000, $20,000 per month. But if you do it the regular way, if you just take in general information that you see, you won't be able to make it. If everybody, and that's the thing I figure about any business, if we could take in general information we see off of social media and be able to be successful, everyone would be successful. You might as well be somewhere reading a book, because books are going to have deeper information about business than social media. Social media, you're not going to find this deep information on social media. But if you guys have any questions, make sure you type them in the chat. And if you want to join my Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp, make sure you click the link in the description, join for President's Day, and you get the 35% off. And my goal when you join the bootcamp, I'm teaching more than dispatching. I'm teaching business. I want you to be able to take what I say and take it to any business, right? I want it to actually change your life forever just by teaching you business. So as a freight dispatcher, to make sure your business continues forever, what you want to do, you want to track the amount of sales calls you're having every month, and you want to track how many drivers you're signing up every month. You want to make sure that's always increasing, right? Now I say that because that's a major pain point I had in my business. Is I got up to about 7 or 8 trucks, and then I started to lose a truck here. It might have been for a maintenance issue, right? Or sometimes a driver quits if the actual driver isn't the owner operator, but if the owner of the trucking company has hired a driver, sometimes the driver quits, and it can be hard for them to find another driver, and they're losing money, right? So what you want to be able to do is to make sure you can always sign up more truck drivers. You want to think about this more than anything else in dispatching, more than the paperwork. The paperwork is the easy part, right? It doesn't really mean all that, right? Anybody can come up with some paperwork real, quick. But the hard part for most people is going to be signing up a consistent amount of truck drivers. And that's what I want to teach you in the Freight Dispatcher Bootcamp, is to always sign up more truck drivers. And then a lot of people sometimes think dispatching is oversaturated. Dispatching would never be oversaturated. That's a mindset thing again, right? As long as you can always offer more value to more owner operators, you are never going to be in an oversaturated market. That reminds me of the book. I bring up a lot of books in my boot camp, but Blue Ocean Strategy. Blue Ocean Strategy. If you haven't read Blue Ocean Strategy, it's a good read. But if you join the boot camp, basically I'm implementing so many ideas from so many books that I read over the years, right? So you don't even have to read these books, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you the ideas that I learned from different books. But Blue Ocean Strategy, it teaches about, most people are caught up in a shark-infested red ocean where it's hard to get customers and you struggle. And most dispatchers are in that red ocean. But basically, even through the live today, I basically describe how to get over to the blue ocean. And getting over to the blue ocean where it's plenty of fishing to be done, basically plenty of customers to be attracted, is you have to create your own blue ocean. That's what so many new business owners don't think about. They just think about the state of the market, and this is in any industry. It's all the same to me, right? It's just business. You just want to learn business, become a better business person. But so many people will come into any business and they can't get customers, and they'll say it's oversaturated or there's no customers. You have to create demand for yourself, right? You have to get customers to sign up with you by what you say, by the value that you give out. So it's going to be different for everybody. But if you guys have any questions about anything I said during this video, just comment below. I'm going to end the live for today, but I'll catch you guys on the next live. And a matter of fact, later on today, I'm doing another live and I'm going to be talking about roofing. Roofing is another industry. It's a lot of money in roofing. You can click the link below. I'll post the link for that live below in the description too. But roofing is a very good industry too that I'm involved in. There's a lot of money in that industry.